Namaskar. Welcome back to my channel again. So, if you're joining for the first time, welcome. If you are joining, every week, welcome back again. But if you've never been on this lives, just a little bit about me. This is Aditya Soma. I'm a real estate agent, real estate investor, and also have a real estate team here in Windsor, Ontario, where we helped a lot of clients with investing, purchasing, buying, selling, all different sort of things. And especially in this channel, I don't make you bored by talking about what properties I have on the market. Rather, we'll talk about financial freedom, how I achieved financial freedom through real estate, and I share a lot of tips and all those things. So if you're interested in that, make sure don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and a subscribe button. And I bring in every week special guests like Natasha, who are like also been in the business, doing real estate investing, where you can learn a lot of stuff, because the biggest things that you can learn is from others' experience. Instead of you going spending money and learning from your mistakes, first maybe if you can learn from others' mistakes, others story, then that's a solid value, right? So that's why we do this live every week, same time, 7 p.m. So welcome for this lives. And if you're joining for the first time, please let me know in the comments what's your name, where are you joining the live from, and please don't hesitate to say hi and ask any questions you have, real estate related questions, sales, investing, anything, property management, different sort of questions, anything you have, please let me know in the comments below. So me and Natasha will be answering them. So that's the introduction part for me. Let me jump into introducing you, our guest this week. I'm glad to have, because it's a funny story how I met Natasha. I don't know if you remember. So
It,
I sold.
it's a long time now, by the way.
Yeah, it's a long time. I sold my first property and she was the buyer. And we didn't know that, because you had your realtor, I had my realtor. And after I think 2 months or 3 months, my hot water tank bills are still coming to my name. That's when Natasha reached out to me saying, "Hey, I'm still getting your bills," and that's when we got to know each other. And so I'm really excited to
That's so
dive
long.
into the story. So first of all, thank you so much for your time, Natasha, because I know a lot of people, who are also immigrant background, who has a lot of fears. A lot of women wants to get into the real estate, and very kudos to you. Being a woman, getting in, doing the real estate side, not only investing but also doing the property management. So that's why I'm really, excited to jump into your story to learn about you. What motivates you, how you got into this business and all. So I'll stop talking. I know I already talked so much so far. So, for people who don't know you, can you give us an idea, not for me, but for the audience? So, who are you? Where you come from? How you got into real estate? Where are you currently?
Thanks, Aditya. Yeah, thank you actually so much for having me. And I just want to preface this by saying that you're a big mentor for me. And I think that you're a mentor for so many people. And
Thank
I
you.
watch your videos every single week. And I watched your video even last week on property management. And I know that you do it because you truly want to help people, because sometimes you don't benefit from it at all. Like I've seen your properties, I've inquired about properties. I'm currently in the Middle East on sabbatical leave. I've given so many people here your contact, and I know that you do it just because you want to help other people for
Thank you.
the love of real estate and of community too.
Yeah.
My story started very early in 2015, and I
Mhm.
really wish I would have bought more houses then. I didn't know, nobody knew that this would
Yeah.
be, the market in Canada. I'm not even just going to say in Windsor, Ontario, but I think in Canada, because you and myself were both investing across all the provinces now.
Mm-hmm.
So I started in 2015 with my first property. I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know about mortgages. I knew nothing, but I had a mentor and he said, you're going to need more streams of income
Mm-hmm.
because your spending and what you like and what you want out of life do not equate with your salary. And there's a thing called inflation and they won't. So you're going to need multiple income streams.
Wow. So, what were you doing at that time?
I was always in education, so I'm an educator by trade, and I still teach. I still work in education. I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started in 2015 with my first property.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing. And then in 2017, because I was also on leave then too, I took a sabbatical leave, and I take sabbatical leaves at different times just for different reasons in education, mainly to like upskill. So I took a sabbatical leave then. When I came back, the market had exploded. Sold my first property, which I don't know if there's pros and cons to
Yeah.
selling. I think that if I was me then, I would
Mm-hmm.
not have sold. But it's okay. Such is the path.
Yeah.
And from that point on, then I just started scaling. I didn't know that was called a BRRRR strategy then. I didn't know anything about real estate, to be honest. I was kind of born into it because my grandparents, who were also immigrants to Canada in
Mm-hmm.
the 50s, that's all they could do, really, because they couldn't read, they couldn't write, they didn't speak the language, they didn't know anything. So they would just work and buy property, buy real estate. Um, and so, but by the time 2017, there was only really one property left in my family. So I loosely say I was born into it.
Mm-hmm.
From that point on, I just continued to use the BRRRR strategy. I have sold a few along the way, and then I've just continued to watch mentors, much like yourself, and continue to take a lot of risks and chances, and slowly watch the market and watch the trends across Canada. And then when one is saturated, move into another one. I do a little bit of property management. I don't do it full time at all. I only sort of do it for investors that I know who just want to be hands off, because I also manage all of my properties, and when I'm in Canada, I'm more hands on than now. So
Got it.
I just sort of add theirs to the, sort of to the mix.
So there is a lot of things I can, I would love to dive into it. So first of all, like, how many properties do you have now? Like, what's your current
We,
portfolio?
yeah, we currently have.
That's a good problem to have. There you go.
That's a good problem to have. I'm trying to count here. We currently have 9 and one on the way.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's 20 plus doors. So
Yeah.
it's like, I know there's some investors with a lot more doors. Um, yeah.
No, again, that's really
Yeah,
fantastic, right?
9.
Like 20
We have
doors in
9
five
and one
years.
on the way, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say altogether 20 plus doors,
Mm-hmm.
and we're operating out of 3 provinces.
So
I had
that's
to think about that.
I got a lot to there. So lot to unpack there. First of all, because you said you're managing yourself. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, how the heck you're where are you right now? You're
I'm
in
in Kuwait in the GCC.
oh my God. So you're literally not even in the country and you're
No,
managing the
so
property.
when I'm not in the country, as you know, Aditya, the team, it's all the team.
Yeah.
So I have a team in Windsor that I trust, and they sort of freelance
Hmm.
work on different things that I can't do, but I am the sort of overarching umbrella. So
Hmm.
I oversee everything that's taking place, and I think that's just the teacher in me.
You want to make sure everything is going. So again, that's a really, really good point that that you're teaching here for a lot of new people, because the biggest concern I have seen from many people not getting into investing because, either they're in a bigger city or, they're somewhere where, they cannot afford, but they're afraid to go to, come to Windsor or come to, go to Edmonton or Calgary or whichever the city, right? Where they want to invest in, but they're scared, oh, how do I manage? So, because now I see you where you're managing and from different country. So, like, give us some tips here. Like, first of all, imagine that I'm a newbie.
Yes.
How can I do that?
I would suggest, so what I should say is my properties that are not in Ontario, I've actually never seen them and I've never been there. So those properties, I
Yeah.
know those properties are under management in those provinces, but I deal directly with the property managers and we have meetings together. I would say about once every 15 days. So I guess maybe twice a month, every 3 weeks, I'll schedule a meeting just to make sure that everything's being done. And then I also get a report. So I know that those properties are being well taken care of. And then I always am following up on the report, making sure that all the numbers align.
Got it.
Secondly, all the houses in Ontario, I've been there to settle the tenants. So that's why I have a relationship already with the tenants, and then all the third parties who work with us, they just go in to facilitate different services. And again, I have the overarching umbrella that I make sure that all the finances are being done. If there's any notices that need to go out, that will be dispatched to our paralegal. And that's because we have a long history of working with these different third parties. So we have that history. I would say for anybody new who's coming into the game, if they're not comfortable and if they don't understand that, and I always say this, that the tenant, if you're taking a property that is already tenanted, I would say put it under management and sort of relieve yourself of that. If you're taking a vacant property and you want to go ahead and try, I would say though that you need to have a relationship with a paralegal, with a lawyer, and then possibly call different property management companies, because if you don't really know what you're doing, especially when it comes to the LTB, you're going to really find yourself in a situation that may not be favorable for you. And I know because I have been there, and I've talked so much about this in the past. It was the first time I'd ever gone to the LTB, and it was the first time I'd ever had this in all my years of landlording. Even my parents, I don't ever remember this happening. And really, Aditya, like, I think it was like a heavy stress, because I'd never had that. And when you have a $500,000 home and there's something really nefarious going on, it's hard. It's really hard on you. So I would say for a newcomer coming in, especially now, depending what avenue they want to take, if they want to be really hands-on and really get into it, then they have to do their homework and they need to build relationships with the people that they're going to work with. But if they want to do like hardcore investing like yourself, then I would say just hand it over to someone and use your time, focus your time on what is your goal.
Yeah, some of the tips that I rarely hear. Guys, if you're new, pay attention. So what Natasha said, and I love that strategy, which is like having those third party connections, right? Like for everything, don't try to be penny pinching. Like if you're trying to save like $50, $100, $200, and that will cost you a lot more time. But rather, if you have this contacts in connection where in whichever the city you're investing in now, just like what you're doing, anyone can invest anywhere, because now you're not depending on you're depending on the local experts, paralegal, plumber, electrician, or property manager. That's exactly why I love. And another point that you mentioned is a really important element, which is you do a call with them every alternative week.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing. I do every week just because I have a little bit more, I want to be more control on. But again,
Yes.
having that call, just make sure what are they doing, and if possible, schedule for you to walk through the property every 6 months. If you can, just fly, or at least every 1 year, or have a recorded video or photos every 6 months to make sure your property is in a good condition, because that tips no one ever talks. That's really what keeps your property in a good condition, because you can safely, okay, I know someone is watching the property on a regular basis.
Yes,
Loved
exactly.
it.
And our property manager in Moncton, I guess I found him because I just follow all of, there's so many like leaders in this, such as yourself, that I follow all of you guys and I watch everything and I try to attend the classes and as much as I can and listen. And that's how I met that property manager. And we've built a pretty big relationship with him. And
Mhm.
so I don't even buy properties anymore unless he says go for it.
There you go.
Because he's on the ground. They know they're on the ground. Now, again, my property's in Ontario. I've been there for all of it, so I know the tenants and the tenants know me and they're wonderful. So really, I mean, if something is happening or something is going on, they'll just message me and then I send somebody out. And we've kind of had pretty much the same people with us for a very long time now. So
Hmm.
it's nothing unfamiliar, but I am someone who likes to be hands-on like yourself.
Yeah.
I do like to be hands-on. However, with that being said, if I could go back, I also do think that there is a part of that sort of sweat equity that you do need to focus on running numbers and preparing for what it is that you're going to do next. And I think sometimes when you have to focus your energy on dealing with like minutia with tenants, that you spend a lot of time over here when you might need to be over here.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Honestly, I'm enjoying the this interview so far. Let's quickly take on a few questions here before we
Okay.
continue. So Ramna says, "Hi, I'm a regular follower from Vancouver. Wow, I really inspired by your video. So thank you." Hanan, sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. When we buy a rental property for investment, how do you deal with the rent defaulters? Question to you, Natasha.
Yeah, so Hannah, that's just all legal processes. I know that some people might have some kind of maybe a different way or a colorful way to deal with that. I don't do that at all. Like Aditya said, I'm not going to penny pinch. Those kinds of issues go right to my paralegal and to the legal team, and they take care of all of that. I don't, I just let them know, okay, today's the second and the rent isn't in, I need an N4 cut by tomorrow. And that's basically that. And then they'll follow up and pursue that.
Yeah, because they know the what do you call, the legal side of stuff very more deeper than us.
Yes, the landlord and tenant board is there. That's just exactly what it is. It's a governing board. And I would suggest that if you don't know about it, try to familiarize yourself as best you can, but then you need to hire a really good paralegal.
Yeah. And again, if you're, more, if you want to control that, or if you want to learn more by yourself, then again, we have the website for, there are a lot of forums, online for Ontario Tenant Board. You have,
Mm-hmm.
lot of details. Like if you are patient, if you're doing this for the first time, if you want to learn every little steps of it, go read it. Again, it depends on your personality. Personally, I never went through all those. I just know what is what. But just like Natasha, I never did dealt with personally. I had a one defaulter in one of my property. Actually, the one I sold it to Natasha. when I After I moved out, I had a tenant where this guy was like single guy, and he was like always constantly on drugs, and he's bringing in like so many people, and neighbors were calling me. So what I did, literally, hey, I called my property manager. Let's start the process. Let's get this going. And it took us like 3 months. Probably hardly I took like 3 4 calls. And yes, of course, I spent money, which is like I spent around like $800 or $900, and no
Yes.
help because I was dealing with my property manager and the paralegal. All I was asking, hey, what do we do? What is the next step? I'm just asking questions, and they're the one giving me the solutions. Okay, this happened. Maybe we have this alternative. Let's do this route or this route. So now,
Yeah.
it's out of my headache. I don't have to think about that process anymore. Yes, I'm losing my rent for 3 months. Yes, I'm losing my expenses, whatever, for the 3 months or 4 months. But hey, without headache, I got my tenants out. That person out, and I improved the property after.
Absolutely. It's very important to understand that vetting the tenants is extremely important. And even if you have a property manager, you need to have the final say. And it's not personal. Facts don't have feelings. So if we're stating that we need a 650 credit score, we don't want a 647. We want a 650 and above. And that's just it. And as things are going in Canada, I would suggest that people have that clearly outlined if they're going to do it themselves, because you could bring a lot of trouble into your world, and that's not what you want. However, if you're working with a property manager, they probably have their own protocols for how to vet tenants, but you need to also have an idea and then look over every single application and just have a checklist, like, credit score, reference letters, they have or had stable employment, because we know that right now, post COVID, that could be a bit difficult. And just go over it. They've been at their current property for more than a year, more than 2 years. That's also something, that a little tip that I really look
Yeah,
at is how long have they been at their current property? Because if you see that there's a lot of turnover in their application, that's some, like, kind of a red flag. Just a little
yeah.
tip.
Very true. And I have seen like a lot of people, even though they have property manager, they don't look at the applicants. They don't make the final call. Generally, you have to give the instructions to your property manager. Hey,
Yeah.
actually that's the lesson learning from my side. Like for my first property, I didn't say that because I didn't know anything. I said, okay, if you like it, go for it. That was the mistake. I learned from my mistake. It costed me 3 months rent. So now, like every application, if I don't approve, my property manager not going to place that tenant. So very, very
Mhm.
important. So let's take on a couple more questions here, Natasha.
Mhm.
Again, so far you're a wealth of knowledge. Like I love it so far. Um,
No, I honestly, Aditya, I learned from all of you guys. And when I see what you're doing, when I saw the 17 unit, like, renovation and reno, I called my business partner right away, and I was like, yeah, you got to watch this video Aditya did. I think we got to do this too.
Guys, if you're wondering what's the 17 unit, I'll put the link in the chat. It's I did a birth project on a 17 unit building. That's the biggest one so far I have done. That's my
No,
31
that's
year.
amazing.
Yeah, it took 1 year. It was a trust me, that was also one of the biggest. I was so scared that project, and
It's a big stress.
on the day I made an offer, I didn't have my mortgage, and I didn't slept on that. Generally, I'm a happy sleeper. I sleep for 8 hours happily, and that day, literally, I was holding my wife like, am I doing something wrong? Am I like am I taking too much risk? I was scared to the
Yeah.
death. But again, 1 year, 4 months after, I got all my money out. My and my partner, both of us, all the money out. Now it's like cash flowing. Thank God I did that. So
Alhamdulillah, thanks gosh, it's
yeah,
cash
thanks God.
flowing.
Yeah,
Like, the thing about what we do, Aditya, is that you have to be okay with not being okay.
yeah,
Because we just purchased sight unseen. They haven't even put a shovel in the ground
yeah, yeah.
in Calgary, Alberta. I don't even know. I got an email because I follow all the wholesalers, all the realtors. I get all of you guys' emails. I opened it. I was in a taxi. I
Wow.
opened it last month in the taxi, and it was like, buy condos in Alberta for $299. And I was like, oh, that's my
Reconstruction.
magic number. Yeah, pre-construction.
I want to get into that. I love that.
Okay, okay, okay.
Definitely, that's something I'm doing now. Like I even I have a pre-construction townhomes for sale in Edmonton. I'm working with a realtor there. We have like partnership. We are doing some sales there. So I would love to get into that story. But before that,
Okay.
let's take some questions. So guys, feel free to throw your questions because you don't get this kind of a wealth of a knowledge on a regular basis with the experts. So please utilize this time to get your questions answered because sometimes even a small question can help you to get a financial freedom because that's been in your mind for a while. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to make sure you ask the questions in the chat. So let me take this question here. Shobit, Aditya, Natasha, great watching you guys so far. I'm on work permit right now, and I want to understand how I can get the real estate license on the work permit. So I don't want to dig so
That's
much
you,
on this.
Aditya.
Yeah. In a quick answer, if you're on work permit in Ontario, you can apply for permit. And I have a video. Search on YouTube, or I'll ask my assistant to put a link in the comments where I said how to get your license in Ontario. There is a full video I made step by step. You can go to that video. It will explain you very detailedly. And in short, for your question, yes, you can get a license when you're still on your work permit. So moving on to the next question here. Mohammed, what's the best way to lease with a group of students? Should we put everyone on one title or one on each of them? Natasha, probably you are the best one to answer this one.
You know, I this is a tough one because we actually don't work with students at all. It's not that we have like a bias or anything towards students. It's just that we haven't worked with any students.
Mhm.
So I've actually never done student housing. I just prefer to work just, or to, we just have never done student housing. I've taken a
No
different
worries.
route.
Got
We've
it.
taken a different route.
Mhm.
What I believe is that to my
Mhm.
knowledge, and I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, everyone goes on title. That's to my knowledge. And I believe that that sort of ring around where everybody sends one person the money and they send you the
Mhm.
money. I think that that is a practice and that there are people who do that. However,
Mhm.
I believe that everyone goes on title because what I do know about student rentals is that they need to have a guarantor.
Yeah.
So students do have to have a guarantor, and oftentimes, in order to go up, if there was to be a situation to
Mhm.
go after the the person in question, you then have to have them on the lease in order to approach the LTV and then to approach the guarantor. So yes, they do all need to be on the lease actually.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I do have a couple of student rentals which I don't do per room. I generally do on one lease because it helps for your mortgage side refinance or anything. It always helps because you have only one lease where you have stated every tenant there, and whoever the
Mm-hmm,
guarantors you state your guarantors in there. So that way, like
mm-hmm,
if you're not like working with one tenants individually, unless if your goal is to do one tenant individually, that's a different story, uh, where you have a lot more movement. Personally, I like just one lease, one group of people, and have everyone on the lease. Just make sure that's the same group living there. That's what I personally do.
yeah, if they're coming in as a group, then they all go in. But if it's room by room, then everybody would be on a different lease if it's room by room.
Yeah.
But let's say it's me, Aditya, two other people, and we all know each other and we all want to come rent from you. Well, then everybody goes on that lease. But if it's, say, room by room, we don't know each other, then everybody's on their own lease.
Yeah. So even if you have separate leases, we can create a master lease with all the names
Yes.
on one just for the bank purpose. So it's like the same lease document. You
Oh,
have
yeah,
the lease
yeah. Like, say,
individually,
for
and once you have the individual
refinancing.
leases, you can create one with all the tenants on that. So great question. And moving on to the next question here, Dhanalakshmi. Oops, I did answer this question. Natasha, what is the taxation on selling an investment property? Probably you sold a
Oh,
couple of them. So if you want to jump on,
first and foremost, when I talk about my properties that I've sold, I almost feel like, they're my kids. Like, I have such an attachment to my properties. I'm so attached. I still talk about the house on Parent, and I'm always so upset because my business partner is like, no, it's a good time and let's sell. And I still miss I miss the
yeah,
house. I don't even know. I have such an attachment. But
it's funny. Like I
yes,
always talk about that property many times on my channel because that's the only property I sold. I sold it for like how much, 227 something, and you sold literally within like 8 months or 7 months for 300,000 or 310 something, and then now look at the prices like 500,000. But
no.
the selling part of it, there are some benefits too. Like when I look back,
Yes.
for me at that moment, that money was very important because it was my primary home and I had no taxes. So because it's my primary home, I lived in there, and that tax benefit applied for me. And now whatever the returns that I made on that property, I spread it into two properties. So now I didn't
Yeah.
lose because I turned my one property into two properties because I couldn't refinance. I was able to refinance, but I couldn't get any money from the project at that time in time. At that point in time, I couldn't take money out. So for me at that time, it made sense to sell. So look back, like the properties that I bought with that one property, now they also appreciated quite well, and they also have a quite solid equity. Instead of on one, I have now in two. So sometimes it's we gotta let that fear go or let that emotion go.
Yes, no, exactly. You're right, Aditya. It's 100% right. From that property on Parent, we were able to then move into another one, which we did a full flip on. So of course, and then much like yourself, so our properties are in those particular ones, the two that have been sold. These were like years ago. They were not in a corporation, but my first house I bought, and then so I was actually semi living in it when I was in the country. So actually, as you said, it was my own. It was my own home. It was just a duplex. And then with the one on Parent, we bought it, and we were also going to live there. So that again, that's another residence. And then we took that money to we bought a house that we were going to flip, but like flip to ourselves basically. But then a different opportunity came up, and so then there was COVID. So there's been all different situations. But to be truthful and honest, our homes are in a corporation, so we do things much differently. And I always tell everyone it's really, really important. Every case is different when it comes to
Yeah,
this. You need
actually,
to
yeah,
work with your accountant. You need a
yeah,
really good accountant, and you have to work with your accountant.
yeah.
And in the house that I sold during COVID, it was a totally different situation. And there were actually, with that one, unfortunately, and I always like to be truthful, there was some losses that were had. So again, you have to work with your accountant because sometimes they kind of balance
The
each other
taxes
out.
are different. Yeah. So, I'll put a disclaimer there. We are not a professionals when it comes to,
No.
these taxes and all. We are just random people on YouTube, sharing our opinions. So please consult your accountant, especially when it comes to selling side. And I'll give you a rough idea, especially if you're selling an investment property on your personal name. So generally what happens is, so let's say you bought a property for 200, 500,000, and you sold it for 700,000, and you spent probably, let's say, 50,000 for renovations or whatever the upgrades and whatever, and now you made 150,000, and you holded this property for 1 year or 2 years as a rental. So now again, I'm just assuming, so I'm just giving a regular a standard style. But again, like Natasha mentioned,
Mhm.
it's always good to talk to the account because every situation, every income is different, every situation is pretty different in different ways. But in general, if it's an investment that you hold it for more than a year, if it's a rental property you sold, and you have, let's say now for our previous example, we are talking 500,000 your purchase price plus 50,000 your renovation cost, whatever the money you spent for upgrading the property, and you sold it for 700,000. So what happens in this case? So 50% is not taxable income, and 50% of the net income, only net, not the price, not the down payment, not the closing cost, not the renovation cost. The net income, which is 150,000, out of that, 75,000 is not a taxable income, and 75,000 becomes taxable, but not right away. You will pay 75, whatever the tax bracket you're in on 75%
Right.
of that.
Right.
Or the personal income you're making plus this income combined, whatever the tax bracket you're in, that's the tax bracket you come into, and that's how much you will pay the tax. So really on a ballpark, very ballpark side,
Mhm.
you would pay like 50% of the 75,000, which is like 35,000 or 30 to
Right.
37, give or take.
Right.
So very, very high level. Trust me, please talk to your accountants on that. So
Yeah, exactly. Because there's so many moving parts that the best thing is to talk to your accountant, and they will give you the best advice for what you need to do.
yep.
And I know that Aditi is a realtor, but I don't know. I'm never selling a house again. I can't live through it. I just get attached, and I know that you're not supposed to. I read the books and the rules, and I know that you're not supposed to. And that, as you said, there comes a point when you need to leverage different pieces and different parts in order to move into whatever it is that you're moving into. And again, I think working with it, and we work with our accountant all the time. So that's very, very important. We have a relationship with our accountant. We're always working with them, just because there's so many moving parts.
Yep. Yep. Very true. So, before we continue with the questions, there are a lot more questions to answer. But, I would love to jump back to our topic where, now you moved into this pre-construction and Calgary or Edmonton.
We are in Calgary, but I saw that you're in Edmonton.
I'm looking at both the cities. So, again, I would love to pick your brain. What made you to look at, Alberta in general? What's your
Aditya, I truly tell you, honestly, I was in a taxi
Mhm.
and I was going to have lunch with my friends, and I got this email, and I've been wanting to sort of branch out, because even Moncton, New Brunswick, the market is through the roof now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, time to move. It's time to move again. We have to scale our money as best as we can.
Mhm.
So I've been watching a lot of different Canadian investors, watching and listening. Okay, this location. Oh, Calgary's up and coming. What are the prospects of newcomers in that region? Are a lot of Canadians shifting and moving to different provinces? So I've been doing a lot of research. I get this email, and I'm like, oh, the price is right. Literally, I know. It's that simple. I was like, the price is right. So I called the realtor right away, and I said, hi, I received your email. I know your podcast and stuff. And is this true? And he's like, actually, that is sort of a base number, but the units go up from there. We are sold out. However, someone just defaulted. Do you want to take theirs over? And I was like, how much? And he was like, $298. And I'm like, I just made $1,000 in 5 minutes. Yeah. And I was like, what do I got to send you? And so we went over the process and the procedure, and I was like, I'm going to sign on the dotted line. And and looking at the margins and looking at what the market may be in 2025, I mean, of course, it's a risk. It is a risk.
Yeah.
I couldn't locate the property on a map. However, we do our due diligence. We work with lawyers. We take meetings with lawyers. We have meetings with accountants. And then, that's an intense period. It's like a few days, really intense. And then, you just weigh out the pros and cons. And when there's more pros than cons, you just go for it. And sometimes even when there's more cons than pros, you go for it.
Yeah. I love it. Like, that's what I found, right? Like with the pre-constructions, especially. I was right now, guys. If anyone is curious about Alberta, Calgary, and Edmonton pre-constructions, we have right now 3 lots available for semi like townhomes around 400,000. Like literally, not even around 396,000 is the starting price. Actually, not just the starting price. You can get literally a 1,200 square feet 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath house with a double car garage, semi townhome, a middle unit for 400,000, 396 and 700,
Wow.
and which can easily, like very conservatively, rent for 1,800, 1,900, and it's only like 24 minutes from Edmonton. It's in a newer community where a lot of newer communities happening. And I was looking at the exact same data, like where I felt this Calgary and Edmonton is almost like how Windsor was 4 years ago, where no one knew where this city is, but now because
Yeah.
the prices going on to the roof in Windsor, in most of the Ontario cities. Of course, in Windsor you can still find 300, 400, 500 properties, but that being said, like you cannot find newer homes, brand new constructions for that price. So now, whereas this city, Edmonton and Calgary, where you have the immigration is slowly growing and there are a lot of
Yeah.
benefits with the taxes, and they're offering lots of tax advantages for the employers to move in. So they're slowly, of course, they're still heavy based on oil, and now with the oil prices going up, again, we cannot quote on that. Like you said, it's risk. But if you look at the stats, like slowly immigration, the population growth is happening there, and they are coming from a bottom. So how low they can go. So there is a good chance for the upside. So I love it personally. I'm excited about that market to see how it goes into. So where are you currently focusing on? Which provinces, which cities are you currently focusing on?
Okay. We're in Calgary, Alberta.
Okay.
And we're also in Moncton, New Brunswick. I love Moncton, New Brunswick. I love the team. Like, shout out to the team in Moncton. They are wonderful, wonderful to work with in Moncton, New Brunswick. And, Aditya, I get all my properties literally off the MLS.
Wow.
And it's been good. Moncton's been good because you can still find those houses that need a little bit of love. And then you can, you get it, you burr it, keep going, you keep moving forward. And Moncton has been good. Really, Moncton has been a great place to invest, and everyone to work with there has been absolutely fabulous. I can't say anything about them. They've been really, really wonderful. And what I have found with the market is now it's starting to gain a lot of traction. Mm-hmm. So properties that we would have bought, and this is only 8 months ago in the summer, we're about 250. So summer of 2021, we're about 250, 220-ish. They're now creeping into the 300s. So, I mean, if that's a market that you want to get into, I would say that, you need to get a little fire under your seat going, because the market is gaining a lot of traction. And what's happening is that, investors kind of follow each other. So everybody was in Ontario. Now everybody's moving to Moncton. I also hear that Manitoba's starting to gain a lot of movement as well. And so I think it's sort of a trend. People are following each other into different areas. But I like Moncton because I know it. And, I'm working with the team there, and we've been able to buy properties that are well undervalued. We're able to negotiate on them. Then we do, a little bit of love, and we burr it, and then we keep it, so we basically burr it, to ourselves, or flip it to ourselves, and then just keep going, get the next one and go from there.
Love it. I think, Servin was asking the exact same question. Windsor versus Windsor or Moncton?
Yeah, I would. Well, Windsor's my Windsor's my home, so I would always say Windsor, of course. I know that you can get gems off the MLS. You can, and there's a lot of people doing, different and sort of very colorful ways, such as Aditya is someone that you want to talk to about this. And then I would also, if you can, split the baby and you can get one in Windsor and one in Moncton, I would
Yeah.
say do that too if you can.
I love the answer. It's hard to differentiate. I don't know about Monter Market. I cannot really add much, but in Windsor, I agree with you. There are still good deals. It's just you gotta work hard, because one advantage is like right now Windsor, we have like we still have the great access to Detroit, and the lot of things happening. So
Oh
I
yeah.
guess, yeah. So love that, love that. So moving into next more questions. There are a lot of questions piled up. So the real estate prices are super high already. Is it good call to start real estate investing or start a real estate agent and make a career? Your thoughts? Probably I will add my thoughts here when it comes to
Yeah,
sales
yeah. I
side.
think this is more a question for you, Aditya, because you do both. I've never
Yeah.
had a passion to do real estate, although somehow, I'm always little also involved in that somehow. I don't practice real estate at all.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, other than, my
Investing.
own properties.
Hmm.
I am more of an investor because, as I said earlier in the show, I do education full time. So I
Yeah.
have my full time job is education, and then I'm also doing an investing. So I kind of have a harmony between all of the pieces and parts of what I do in my life. But I think for you, Aditya, yours
Hmm.
are a lot more aligned with each
Yeah,
other.
I can definitely answer on that, Alex. So, when it comes to, I would not differentiate between investing and sales, because investing is for wealth building. Investing is for, passive invest income. Investing is for like, generations in wealth to come in. So I chose sales career. I replaced my active income. So I was a software developer, which I was not passionate about. I knew I can be I can replace that active income, just like, Natasha, you love your teaching. That's why you're still in your career. That's something you enjoy. And for me, I was not doing that. I was not really 100% convinced that the software is for me. Whereas, like, the other side, I have a lot of passion for people. That's one thing. I don't know, it's because of my dad. He always loved to help people, and always, like, sometimes he just forget, like, doesn't matter even if he has it or not, he give it away. Kind of that mentality came from my dad. And I felt, when I was researching more, where, how can I get out of my IT job, because which I was not passionate about. IT has a lot of potential to make a lot of money, but personally I was not passionate. If you're like, if you're like me, who has a people skills, who love people, who love to deal with who don't mind taking that, pressure, because sales is, at the end, it's a career, active career. It's not a
Yes.
passive. So
Yeah.
I got in just by, coincidentally, where to replace my active income and to pay off some of my bad debts I had. So that was the motivation I got in. And now, I still focus heavily on, if I have to state, like, investment was the main thing that created wealth for me. Sales helped me to, navigate this boat actively. So if you're passionate towards sales, I would say then only get into it. If not, if you're just, looking at, oh, Aditya is doing, or, someone else doing, trust me, in sales career, there is 80% failure rate, only 20% success rate. So
Yes.
if you're passionate about, and if you're willing to take on that, amount of work, yeah, heck yeah, it's a great career, because, that's a great combination to be in the sales industry and do the investing side. But especially be careful if you're, like, not really passionate, but you're just getting in. I would be very, very careful, because investing is totally different cow. You don't need a sales career. honestly, sometimes sales career stops me to scale even bigger. Like, I have some of my clients literally started with me investing, like a couple of my favorite clients who are, one guy especially, like I helped him start from the beginning. Like I got him, duplex, I got him 10plex, and now he's buying like 40, 50, 60 unit buildings. And we started with the exact same knowledge and same place, but I'm more focusing on the sales side, and he scaled up pretty drastically.
Wow, we got to talk to him, Aditya.
I'm going to bring him on. I asked him. Actually, I met him today. He just got his Tesla and all. I don't want to mention the name this time until he agrees for coming on the podcast. But now when I look at those people, right, like, wow. Sometimes this tag of sales agent stops you. If But personally, because I'm super passionate on this side of the people skills and all the people side of it, that's the only reason I'm still sticking to my sales. But
Yeah.
it's a great career. Honestly, like there is no ceiling. You can make, I went from zero to making over 1 million. That's like would not happen with any job. With the sales,
No.
happen with less investment. So long answer, but I really want people to hear on that point. Like, don't just get in because other people are getting in. Especially if you can, if you're already in a good place, you already have a decent active income. Just focus on building the wealth. Especially if you're
Yeah.
not passionate about people or not, trust me, you'll burn out. It's just another additional layer of stress that you're adding to your life, rather focusing on building the wealth. But if you want to make it a career, if you're serious about it, yeah, heck yeah.
I think, Aditi, you brought something up that's really, really important, is that if you have a career that you're doing already, maybe just focus on investing, because real estate, I think, you really need to have a certain type of personality and certain type of organizational structure in order to really pierce in and go forward. And again, as you said, there's that 80% failure rate. And to be honest, even in investing, there have been moments when I have made big mistakes, Aditya, huge, costly mistakes, and I guess that's just how you learn.
Yeah. And I feel like, sales is an option, but investing, every family has to have investments. I would say like that's an option. That's not an option. No
No,
matter
that's
what
not an
you're
option.
doing, because whoever, like we look at any big companies, small people, everyone invest in real estate. That's how their wealth is built through real estate, big and
Yes.
small.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's crazy because it's a long-term wealth. Like no matter what happens to the real estate cycle over at the moment, in the long run, everyone knows, just like when you started with a really good point, which is inflation. Over the period, the inflation is going to be there over 5, 10, 20 years down the road, 25 years.
Yes.
If you hold the
Yes.
property that long, you are, no question, you made very guaranteed 13 to 15% in money, just because someone paid your mortgage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I don't know of any properties going backwards. I see them all going forwards and going up in price.
Yeah.
And even if they do level out at some point, even if this correction is coming, or there's so many different theories, of course. But I still know that properties, no matter what, even if it's by $1, they're still going forward as opposed to backwards.
Yeah, I agree. So moving on to the next question here. For a person like me on work permit, should I go for mortgage license, get experience to get into it again? Karandeep, I just answered on that part. But if you're debating between mortgage and real estate sales, I would say at the end, both of them are sales. And in short,
Yeah.
mortgage is a little bit more desk work, where you sit in front of the computer more, you have to collect all the data and communicate with different people. At the end, it's the same thing on the sales or on the real estate side. Only difference is you gotta go show the properties in person, you gotta go drive around a lot. So you gotta choose between that two. And I had my mortgage license. When I first got my mortgage license, I said, okay, I'm first of all, I hate IT because I have to sit in front of the computer for a long time. So
Yes.
that's why I didn't pursue the mortgage side. I only pursued the sales, the realtor side. So it depends on your personality. And here the next question, Satyanarayana. Hi Aditya, I'm planning to buy my house in GTA. What is the minimum down payment we need to have? Can you please let me know? Do you want to touch on that, Natasha?
Okay, so you're planning to buy a house in the GTA. We'll unpack this. You're planning to buy a house in the GTA. Congratulations, that's amazing. Good for you. And well, don't have the same down payment that other people have, and I think that GTA is in the same place. And then
Yeah.
we have to ask you, is this a residential? Is this commercial? Are you going to live there? Who's going to be living there? Are you a first-time investor? Are you a 15th time investor? So there's a lot of moving parts. I can say for us, our minimum down payment is 20%. We are not yet in commercial properties, but I know for Aditya, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel the same because, if I want to get into a GTA, I think any detached, nothing is under probably 1.2, 1.3. I don't know even if there is something for 1.2, probably 1.5 or 2, which means I need like 300,000 to buy just one detached home. So for that means, like, again, if you're looking at that much down payment, because anything under over a million, you need minimum. Doesn't matter if it's a primary home or an investment, you need minimum 20% down. So if you
Yeah.
have, again, GTA is a great area for like
Oh,
economy
yeah.
wise. Only thing personally, I never bought anything in GTA. I have pre-constructions just around GTA, which made a great returns for me. I love pre-constructions. I can talk more on that one. But
I know. I
um,
know. It's our first time doing it, but I'm
yeah,
happy.
yeah, because one of my pre-construction that I bought 2 years ago, I only bought it for like 100,000 my money so far. I haven't closed it, but it appreciated by like 800,000. So going back to answer his question, I would say
Wow.
if you have a lot of money, if you have a solid business, and GTA 20% down, go for it, because
Go
there
for
is
it.
a more
Yeah,
more 100% guaranteed that there will be always tenants, because it's low risk. At the same time, to double your money will take time, whereas in a smaller city
exactly.
it's different story. So yeah,
Exactly.
it
Now,
depends
Aditya,
on.
we almost bought a condo in Toronto.
Mhm.
And of course, like the realtor was fabulous, everything was fabulous. And even the realtor said, you need to run these numbers right now. So when we did run the numbers, when we saw the wealth fund for the condo, nothing was making sense. And we just backed out. We said, no, I'm sorry, this doesn't make sense to us.
Yeah, you backed out, but I didn't back out. I have a pre-construction condo, again, which I will be making negative 600 or 700 cash flow. But
Okay.
again, I leveraged my money because it's in Burlington. I got it for like $1,000 per square footage, uh,
Okay.
like 7 months, 8 months ago, only for
Okay.
one reason, which I wanted to. I like diversification. I like to
Yeah,
diversify
us
money.
too.
And
Yeah.
my wife, she said, maybe sometimes I might love to live in a condo with all the amenities, and this building was located in a really good location, and has lot of amenities, and one of the great builder, and also biggest thing is the closing is in 2015, sorry, 2025, which is like another 3 years
Okay.
down the road. So I'm like,
Yes.
okay, you know what, it's a long time, but other than that, like,
I'll worry about it. That's how I feel. I'll worry about it in 2025.
yeah.
You know?
Sorry, it looks like your voice kind of break there, Natasha. So let's go on to the next question here.
Okay.
Samba Siva, I'm a owner of a property, would like to rent out two bedroom rooms, will stay in third bedroom as shared accommodation for 6 months. What are the rules I think I need to consider? Love your mindset. That's exactly how I did 3 years
House
ago.
hacking.
Yep. And I did exactly the same thing. It was a duplex. I lived in one unit, even not in that one unit. I lived in one bedroom. Me and my wife, we had like one bedroom with some private space, and plus shared the kitchen, shared the washroom, because there is two other bedrooms. Because that's a great way, because now you can save a lot of money. and someone else pay your expenses. So again, be careful with renting for good people. But the rules, because it's your primary home, there is very less rules. Only thing is you make sure you claim, you have to report your income. That's one thing I know.
Yeah,
So you have to
yeah,
report your
you have
income,
to
and that will be
report your
reflecting on
income.
your taxes as well.
Yeah, house hacking. Yeah, we've been there. I think we've all been there with the house hacking. We've all been there. Again, you got to talk to your accountant. You need to speak with your accountant, and you also need to speak with a paralegal, depending on who it is that you're going to have in your home and what exactly is this kind of setup that you have and so forth. I would suggest that you just make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's with this. Because, sometimes a friend is a friend till they're not a friend.
Love it. Yeah, agree. Yeah, so just make sure talk to your accountant. That's the only thing I think that you need to worry about. Other than that, it's a great way to save.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
So
And we even did that on the last property as well. We did house hacking even on the last property that
there you
that
go.
we did a flip on.
So yeah, what's your take on house hacking in general?
Well, I think that you need to have a certain personality for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm in that space anymore because I'm kind of a very meticulous person, so it's kind of hard to live with others. And
Mhm.
the second thing is the last one we did was we were flipping the property, and so then it was kind of like living through
Living through.
construction.
Mhm.
Oh, that's very difficult. It's hard to live through construction.
Yeah.
But if you can do it and you can get through it, there's always a silver lining and there's always benefits in the end.
Yeah.
And the property sold for 100,000 more than what we bought it for.
Yeah, there you go. So, and one thing I add on to it, right? Especially if you're starting out and you're starting with a low budget, right? It's a
Yes,
great way. Yes,
great.
you gotta compromise because my wife told me, like, after a couple of house hackings, she said, I'm going to divorce you if you keep me with the tenants anymore. But again, because she was compromised until we needed to, because initially our financial situation was super bad. We had like 100,000 debt, so every penny did matter. And once we
Yeah,
had like enough active income coming in, which we know we still are living
yeah,
off of less than 30-40% of our income. So that's when I said, okay, stopped it. But personally, I'm a huge fan because that saves a lot of money, and it helps you
absolutely.
learn a lot of things, especially if you're in the beginning of
Absolutely.
career. Love it, go for it, and you learn
Yeah,
from it. Only
yeah,
thing is, make sure don't take too
yes.
much emotional stress.
Yes, of course, absolutely. Yeah, there just needs to be parameters. I mean, if it's like say a duplex or a triplex and you have your own unit, that's one thing. But
Yeah,
if you're renting or if you're in one room and you're renting out other rooms, there needs to, you need to have some guidelines and parameters and protocols here, and everybody has to follow them,
very crucial.
including yourself, including yourself. That's
Yeah.
all has to be arranged.
Yeah, agree. And so again, here we are already running out of time. I just realized, like, it's already past 1 hour.
No,
Oh
I
my God.
know. I
So
looked up and it was 103. I was like,
yeah.
oh,
Oh my God. So it's really fun. There are a lot of questions. I tried to skim through and answer a few important questions. For, if you don't mind, Natasha, if you can give just
sure,
2 more minutes, we'll try to skim through
sure.
and take some important questions. And maybe, of course, every question is important. Guys, we will do this every week. So again, feel free to throw your questions in there. I'll come back again next week, maybe with a new guest, or I'll bring Natasha again for another live. Sometime in
Aditya,
December.
for you, truly anything, because you have been so, so good. And, I actually didn't start out working with you. I started out working with your wife, and we
Yeah.
didn't know each other. And I was like, hey, I kind of have your water bills here. And she's like, oh, I didn't know. And I'm like, yeah. And it was, there's always been that beautiful respect and mutual relationship. So for you and her, whatever it is, like,
Yeah.
just to ask.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing, right? Like I didn't compromise. I chose the right partner. That's a huge help for the whole
I
life.
think that that's a piece that is super important in all of this, Aditya. You just really brought up something that's so important, more than the investing, more than anything, is that you need to surround yourself with people who believe in you and
Oh
believe
yeah.
that you can do what you're doing. And even if you fail, it's okay.
Yeah, completely, completely. Honestly, I cannot imagine like if I don't have a partner like that, it's not that easy to, be me.
Yes.
So, let's skim through. I know,
Okay.
it's already like 8:05. So, just probably this is one of the important question. How do we get mortgage approvals while buying investment properties if you already have a maxed out your eligibility?
Well, different banks offer different products. So it depends on you. Are you going to go with a big bank? It all depends on what you're doing, I would say. I think it all depends on what you're doing. And that's something that, again, you need to talk to with your bankers and your mortgage brokers. And, you might need to go with a more creative type of financing. It all depends on where you're at in your investment journey. And I would say that different banks offer different products. I know that with CIBC, to my knowledge, to my last, verified on this, is that you can go up to, I believe, 8 properties. I think Desjardins is 12. I think RBC is 4 or 5. So different banks offer different products. And then if that doesn't work, depending on what you're doing in your life, where you are, if you're a foreign investor, then you're going to want to work with brokers and look at working with brokers and what they can offer.
Yeah, yeah. And there are, like Natasha mentioned, different lenders, and also like there are credit unions, where they still consider based on the income of the property. So, and also addition to it, and I'm pretty sure Natasha agrees on this, like we have partners, sometimes we are not on the title. Our partners qualify for the mortgage. So you got to bring
Yes.
on more partners if you're really, really maxed out. Going into
Yes.
multifamily, another option. So there are multiple options. I would say if you're starting out, first focus on until you max out. But if you already maxed out, if one lender said maxed out, go talk to another lender, go talk to another broker, go talk to, I
Oh,
promise.
yes, you have to keep going till you find someone that is able to help you, that you're able to work with. It's not personal. It's not personal. Of course, for us, we have a long-standing relationship with everyone that we've worked with. However, they've also cautioned us, listen, I can't help you. You have to go to this person.
Yeah. So someone is asking, how can I get in touch with you regarding the pre-constructions for me? Yeah, email me I put an email in the chat. So make sure reach out to me ASAP, especially for pre-construction side, because we only have 3 lots. I cannot promise. So if you gotta reach out very quickly. And in general, Natasha, if someone wants to learn from you, someone wants to talk to you, where people
Yeah.
can reach out to you.
Yeah, they can get a hold of me on all my social media, which is the same handle at NE Feghali, and they can send me a direct message. It's happened in the past, and I will always answer and give you the best of my knowledge to my knowledge.
Yep, there you go. So I'll make sure it's in the chat box as well. Are you more on a Facebook or Instagram?
Both. I don't do like Snapchat or TikTok or any of that. I mean,
Mhm.
my students
Facebook and
do, but
Instagram.
I don't do any of that. I'm just like, doing the old time stuff, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect, perfect. I'm just scrolling through the questions here. So maybe this is something that you can answer. Amrit saying, how to get into flipping new construction space homes? How profitable is it? What are the roadblocks? Maybe if you can answer in a short form. It's a pretty long
How
question.
to get into flipping new construction. So basically, you need to look for an area that you want to pierce into, and you have to look at what are the new developments in that area. and then you start making your offers. And a lot of them will be closing, from what I've seen, generally 2023, 2024, 2025. And then you'll have to just watch the market, and you can also look at the comps, say in the neighborhood, and sort of make your own speculation based on that. Because it's a new development, you don't know what the ceiling will be.
Yeah, and again, personally, I never did a new construction yet. I'm building my first tiny home at the moment, so I don't have a solid answer there for new constructions, because new construction is totally, you're talking about development. Flipping is
Yes.
different. Flipping is like buying enough property, doing because new construction is like literally now you're a builder. So
Yeah.
look into Tarian, learn, maybe find a mentor, I would say, because maybe I'm
Yes.
not a good mentor on the new construction side. I'm looking for a mentor on the new construction side. So
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny you mentioned the tiny homes, Aditya, because I reached out to a mutual associate of ours. We
mhm.
wanted to do a tiny home as well. It's just because all of our properties are duplexes and tries, we don't qualify.
Yeah, that's the sad part. And I heard Hamilton is starting to give, but again, other cities not there yet. I don't know. It's weird.
Uh-huh.
Only single family can have a one attached ADU, one detached ADU. It's just weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
only
yeah.
single
It's
families. Only single families, not
only single families in Windsor-Essex as of
or
now.
semi-detached or townhomes also do qualify.
If you
Single,
have the space too,
if
you
you have
need
a
the
space,
space.
exactly. There is certain requirements. Again, city has their own requirements, but in
Yes.
general, single family detached homes, townhomes, semi-detached do qualify, and they have to fulfill certain requirements. So that's interesting to know. And Jit asking, if I have a positive cash flow property and 20% down, but income is 70K, will I qualify, or, the qualify the rental guarantee for 5 years? So if I'm understanding the question correct, he means like, do he qualify for a mortgage?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I'm understanding as well. Yeah. Yes, of course. If this is your first property, maybe even your third, I believe you would qualify. But I would say if you're going to continue to buy more properties, you would probably want to put all of that under a corporation.
Yeah. And also, I will add on to it, because, here's the thing, it depends on what's your income, what's your debt ratio. And generally, if you have a positive cash flow properties, there are lenders who will lend based on just the income of the property, even though if it's
Yeah.
residential, duplex or single, triplex or fourplex, there are
Yeah.
lenders. So I would say go talk to good mortgage brokers or mortgage agent
Hmm.
in Windsor.
Hmm.
Send us an email. We'll put you in touch with some of the people we know.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's at least those are the major questions. And
Those are.
yeah, there are more questions. I know we can go on and on, but I don't
Oh,
want
I
to take
know.
more.
I'm like, now I just want to talk about tiny homes.
Yeah. Yeah, again, that's the thing, right? Like these topics can go on and on, especially when we are passionate about, when two people with the same bug in the
Yes.
mind.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'll leave with a one final, announcement here, guys. If anyone wants to, really jump on a call with me one on one, a Zoom session, and we have right now a small, giveaway kind of contest. Win a giveaway session, like win a session to chat with me. Doesn't matter whether you're buying or not. Just if you're looking to get that solid advice, or where you want that help, and Aditya, if you think Aditya can give that advice and just one-on-one with you and answer your personal questions, then we have this contest. Make sure um, I'll put the link in the comments. Just fill in your basic information there, and you will be able to win that. If you are the winner, you will get a chance to jump on a Zoom session with me one on one. So don't hesitate to go there, click the link, because you never know, one advice can change your life. So with
Yes.
that, Natasha, thank you so much. It's really,
Oh,
really
no,
fun.
thank you. Aditya, thank you. And as usual, whenever we see each other, we just start talking and chatting and blabbing. And I hope, God willing, one day in the very near future, we do business together.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Or at least we'll go grab a dinner and talk more about real estate.
Yes, yeah, like there's so many of us that are doing this and are so passionate about it.
Yeah. So
It's given
now,
us freedom. It's given us, we
exactly.
all have a different notion of freedom, but it has given us freedom and peace of mind.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I call financial freedom, right? Like when you have
Yes,
that freedom, you can,
yes,
whatever you do, you will have more passion towards the work you're doing. So I
yes.
believe that's what everyone has to aim towards. And that's what we believe real estate can give that freedom. So it doesn't matter what your goals are. So guys, with that, we will sign off, so make sure, don't forget to sign up for the 60 minutes session with me to win the chance. So with that, thank you so much, Natasha. Have a wonderful,
Thank
wonderful
you,
evening.
Aditya. Thank you. Please say hello to your wife.
For
And
sure.
again, you are a wonderful mentor to so many. I need to tell you that again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Bye.